Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirsha here. Now, whenever we last left off, we just had the Island event. Now, along with that, All Might, he is currently undergoing Space Marine surgery, so that he will at least, well, have his body heal properly. Now, this will not undo the trauma to All Might's body, along with it will not even increase his, well, power output. He may be stuck at 70%, since he is already almost 50 years old. But this will at least leave him in a better shape than he normally is. But, actually I would say it would increase his time limit on One For All, since basically you're, well, not to put it lightly, but putting new parts into an engine so it'll be better. Now, with that being said, let us continue. All Might, he is going into surgery. And while that was happening, everyone was dealing with the events of Island. Now, with that being said, Deku and everyone has just returned home. They are at the church and their families are actually waiting for them, along with Deku's family and his little sister, who still finds it a bit weird that this big hulking giant is her brother. Or, well, her biological brother, since she has at least seen him in a few pictures. And that there's no way. Now, along with that, I do want to say that her name... Hang on. Alright, so... I didn't see it, but I just thought of an actual good one. Let's say that his sister's name is Maxine. So she is Maxine Midoriya. Now, with that, Deku, he is actually told by his mom and, well, his dad that they were actually a bit more worried. This is the second time he's been attacked by villains. But they heard that he came out okay. Is that at least right? A lot of families are actually checking in on their children. And they are surprised to find that they are mostly fine. Aside from them having a bit of bumps and bruises. Other than that, they should all be okay. Now, with that being said, Maxine is actually really excited to talk with her brother and actually see him. She still does find it weird though, and she does actually want to ask questions about his fire quirk, as we'll call it. Now, Deku does at least want to show her a few things, since her fire is a bit different than his. And he does actually want to see if he could do a special move. It would be a good idea to try, but this isn't a quirk, so he would want to see if he could take a deep breath in with fire and what would happen. Then again, one of the Marines would tell him that that may not be a good idea. But at the same time, I do want to say that since the Space Marines that had this mutation were still alive, they were able to breathe the fire. So I want to say that he could possibly actually do a fire breathing move. Anyways, with that said, Deku, he would at least show her a thing or two he's learned. And let's just say he faces off against her. I use that word very lightly. Anyways, basically he tells her to give it her best whenever she tries to use her quirk. And she would actually do so. Taking a deep breath in and taking a deep breath out, spewing fire at him. Deku basically just standing there with his arms crossed. Really just taking the fire like it's nothing. Whenever he does actually block the fire, he does walk forwards and just tap her on the head, telling her that her control over her quirk is good. but she does need to practice with it. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit more difficult. Are you lightheaded? Her someone just saying yeah, and her face is, well, red, as he takes a deep breath in. Deku basically telling her that if she wants to learn more about her fire breathing, try and practice it more and more often. But also try and get more exercises, like signing up for a swim or something like that, something that has to do with oxygen control. So you'll be able to use your quirk more effectively. Now, with that, she does at least get a bit excited to hear that. And Deku is offered a chance to, well, stay at home with them. To understand what life was like, or how things have been. Now, I want to say that he would at least come to visit for a few days, and the Space Marines would allow this. In fact, they allow everyone to do the same, somewhat giving them a bit of normalcy. Now, with that, those few days would pass, and Deku, after seeing his old room, not really changing a lot, would find that, well, it's time to leave again. Sadly. His mom basically sending him off with a hug along with his dad, and him giving a bit more advice to his little sister. That she just doesn't want to train her quirk all the time. Make sure to, well, as he just tries to think about it for a second. He wants to give her some advice, but it's advice that he kinda has learned. He was gonna say that make sure to dedicate yourself to something, but, well, that would be a bit too much. So he does at least tell her to make sure that if she wants to be a hero, to be a good one. Now, he would then leave. Everyone getting on the buses for the forest training camp. And having things packed up. Now, whenever they do get on the bus, Deku and Kirishima do sit next to each other. And are actually talking about experiences they had at home. Everyone somewhat is. Now, with that being said, they would all finally get to the, well, to the cliff's edge. And the pussycats would come up and see them. Them being a bit surprised. A lot of these guys are huge. And they look like, well, bodybuilders. Who went too far. Now, with that, Aizawa will basically explain that this is how they were whenever they got to UA. In fact, one of them has more than one quirk. Them all being a bit surprised. Aizawa actually thinking about this for a minute. They all have more than one quirk. I'm guessing All Might has this figured out then. He told me to stop questioning it, but still. I don't get paid enough for this. As he basically just hands off control to the pussycats. Them basically causing the landslide. Deku and Kirishima immediately jumping up. As she covers her arm in this gauntlet. Now, the gauntlet did not break. It did crack, but it is not broken. So she was able to take the gauntlet home. Now, with that being said, it would immediately cover her arm as she gets ready. Everyone actually being on guard. And Deku actually trying to at least stay up in the air for a minute longer. As he starts to descend. Now, Aizawa will basically state that they all have 2 hours to get through the forest. And they are given permission to use their quirks to their fullest. So, if you don't get there within a certain time, none of you will be eating. Then again, you'll also encounter as there's a loud scream. Now, Mineta, he would be on guard, instead of trying to run into the forest to piss himself. And he's ready. Quite a lot of them are. As they would be told by Aizawa that there are monsters in there. And, well, get there within 2 hours. Him just walking away. Everyone getting ready and being on guard. Kirishima thinking that now is the best time as any. But, oh well. Her just deciding that she should use this, as they would all begin to make their way through the forest. Mina doing one thing. He can turn his arms and legs into slime. Along with that, he's actually been able to stretch them outwards and hit into different opponents. So what he'd be doing is he'd be elongating his hands and smacking them onto trees, since they can stick to trees. Anytime he doesn't pull himself forward, he can basically launch off, like he's a rubber band in a slingshot. However, he would use the acid on his hands to burn off the tree, or, well, get whatever his hand stuck to off, basically turning off his quirk, and swinging through. Along with that, he would be actually carrying Ochako. Him and her are becoming a bit more of a teamwork duo. Along with that, he does have Mina actually on one of his shoulders, basically just sitting there, as she's basically just firing slime off of him, since she has not gotten distance on her quirk yet. Now, with that, anytime they do run by an opponent, they would be tapping onto them, Ochako letting them float up into the air as she would increase gravity on them, bringing up her gravity control to around 5 to 6 times, able to actually decimate her opponents with this quirk. Now, with that being said, Kirishima and everyone are making their way through, her basically just hardening up and running through, able to bash through and actually punch through different opponents, with her quirk and just, well, becoming an unstoppable force. Now, with that you also have Deku, Bakugo, and Ibara. These three are ready along with Momo, her creating multiple firearms, handing off multiple different heavy bolters to Deku and Bakugo. Deku basically just firing these away as he also does scream a lot. Momo actually creating Deku one of his favorite weapons, giving him a war hammer. She knows that they need to get through it a bit easier, and whenever Deku does have a war hammer, he gets a bit more fired up. So, she would have handed this off to him. Everyone in Class 1A that isn't a Space Marine is still confused by this, and want to get answers. Why is it that everyone is so good with these weapons? And why is their teamwork, well, out of control? Along with that, Mina is already on their side basically. So this is just getting curiouser and curiouser. Now, Deku would have been able to smash through and actually get through a lot of opponents, them basically barreling their way through the forest in 45 minutes. Now, that was because they basically were able to keep up with the rest of Class 1A, in case they needed help. Now then, with that being said, the Pussycats would actually be a bit surprised, since you basically see half of Class 1A chilling out, while the other half are exhausted, and almost passed out on the floor. Now, with that being said, Deku is basically standing there with a gun and a warhammer in his hand, still at least staring at this, and thinking about what he should do. He decides to, well, take it apart, since it will be tricky to explain. Now, Aizawa, he would have walked up and congratulated the class, mainly focusing on the ones who aren't tired. While the ones that are, he would just say that they have a lot of catching up to do, if they expect to be in Class 1A. Now, this is whenever Koda would somewhat walk up, seeing these, well, hulking behemoths. He is actually a bit curious about the weapons they have. And, well, this giant hammer. Him actually thinking that that would be a really cool weapon. Deku actually seeing Koda, asking him if he was, well, would like to try swinging it. Koda a bit more curious about it. He wants to say yes, but at the same time, well, that thing looks very heavy. Now, Koda would have done one thing, because Deku's a bit scary. Along with that, he, well, doesn't respect him. He would have tried punching Deku in the nuts, which Deku does have. He is not like a regular Space Marine. No one is. They changed the gene seeds. Now, whenever Koda does do that, it would not work. Quite simply because Deku's training and everything he's been through has been worse than a simple punch to the nads. Koda actually a bit surprised as he runs off. The member of the Pussycats would have tried, while apologizing for Koda, Deku just telling them that he's been through worse. Aizawa basically confirming it. The boy's skin can light on fire. And he has a regeneration quirk. Oh, okay. Now, with that, they would be given raw material to make food. And they would actually do so. Deku and everyone somewhat confused at what some of the stuff is. They've well eaten some foods and other things, but cooking it and putting it together just seems odd to them. Basically, I want to say that you'd have a funny gag where Bakugo's staring at like a jalapeno pepper, not really sure what it is, even though it's good for his quirk. And Deku's holding a piece of broccoli or something. I don't know. I just picture it and it just seems very funny to me. Anyways, with that being said, they would have somewhat tried cooking. Basically, at least try is the word. Now, they would then be put through their 2 weeks of training, going through more and more different things. Deku basically being attacked by Todoroki and quite a lot of other people from Class 1A. The Sugar Quirk guy, Multiple Arms guy, Jiro, and everyone else, along with Mina, her quirk being something that she's having trouble training. She would train with Mineta, since she would throw acid at him and, well, he would basically cover her in his slime that has acid, while making it very acidic, in order to help her not only build her, well, acid defense, but her acid offense. Basically where she can start using it a certain way. Along with Mineta actually explaining a certain way she can fire her acid by just closing her palms together. Along with the thing that she may actually need to get a support glove that can basically take her acid from her skin and put it into a pistol type weapon that she can mount on her wrist. Now, along with that, you would have Shinsho. He is basically told that he will be brainwashing Kaminari. And, well, get him to actually try more, putting effort into different things. So, with that is what he will be doing for training. Along with actually trying to get more and more people on board. Now, for Duplo Arms guy, I want to say for Kendo actually, I could see them trying to get Ochako to use her increased gravity stuff and other stuff. Basically using other people's quirks to help other people. Now, with that being said, let us cut to about the end of the 2 weeks. Everyone being a bit more exhausted, and being put through the test of courage. Now, you have Deku and Kirishima. These two are actually going through. And, well, everyone's participating. The only one in those remedial classes is Monoma, being a dickhead to no one. Anyways, now, with that being said, they are all going through. And they are trying to think about this. Deku, he's basically talking to Kirishima about how things have been at his, well, family's house, along with his sister. He's talking about how he wants to try and be a role model for her, but he's, well, not thinking that he's the best. Especially since the type of training they put us through just to be this way. She's basically trying to explain to him that that's true. You can't really be a role model. But that person will not, just because you don't want to be a role model doesn't mean people won't see you as one. You're not sure what other people think of you. The best thing you can try and do is at least put effort into it, seeing where that will bring you. Otherwise, that's where things will get more and more tricky. Deku at least understanding, along with actually smirking, as he actually does pick her up, her being a bit surprised. Deku actually beginning to say that she's at least right about that. Then, what do you say we get through this? Then we at least make sure we kick ass tomorrow. Her just, well, agreeing, as she would kiss Deku. Deku taking a whiff of air for a second, and immediately having his eyes widen, as he nearly drops Kirishima, telling her that there is a problem. There are people here. Her being confused, of course there's going to be people here. Deku clarifying, there are villains here. Now, she would be a bit confused at that. How are there villains here? They shouldn't even know about this camp. Now, with that being said, Deku would just say that that isn't good, as he basically pulls out his phone, and immediately calls someone. Let's say Bakugo. Bakugo and Ibara are talking as Bakugo picks up the phone. Deku basically just telling Bakugo that they have villains here, and asking if he smells the smoke. Bakugo is saying no before he takes a whiff of air, and then clarifying that he does. So they're already here. Shit. Before he turns and basically starts saying that Deku said there are villains in the forest. He can smell smoke. We need to make sure everyone stays together. And we need to get the people left inside. Momo beginning to create more and more firearms, knowing that this is going to be bad. So, that's not where things lie. Kirishima, she would, well, be ready. Her just looking in her pocket and seeing if she still has it, as she slips on the bracelet and turns it on, asking Deku what their best plan would be. Deku just saying that his best idea right now would be to regroup with everyone. Then, well, call for backup. If we can get more heroes here, then that means we can even the odds. But even then, they won't have time. As, what is it? I believe her name was Mandalay, but uses her telepathy, asking for anyone who's inside the forest to find Koda, and that they are given permission by Aizawa to use their quirks, but at least hold back. Now, with that being said, Deku and Kirishima would split up, as they begin to look through it. Deku running around until he comes to a cliff, immediately beginning to climb up it to think that he can get a better look from up here. As he does so, he would immediately turn around, trying to look around for Koda, until he hears something behind him and he immediately turns. Koda basically just, well, staying there, asking what is going on. Deku just telling Koda that they have a bit of a problem. There are villains in the forest right now, so we need to get back to camp. Otherwise, there might be some serious injuries, or someone might get hurt. Koda just saying that that's okay. Actually beginning to run off with Deku. Muscular actually butting in as he tries to throw a punch directly at him. Now, as soon as Muscular throws a punch, Deku would have blocked it with his arm. It's somewhat breaking before he does at least turn and punch him in the face, sending Muscular flying. Now, Muscular didn't have his quirk active, so that is whenever Muscular would have activated it, telling Deku that he's actually pretty good. But just because of one simple punch doesn't mean that you're going to beat me. In fact, if you're going to want to beat me, you're going to have to be getting a little more serious. Muscular beginning to wrap around and actually form muscle fibers across his body. Deku, understanding what this means, he is gonna have to fight. So, let's go. Him immediately rushing forwards, and meeting hands with Muscular. As the two go back and forth, trying to throw each other around with body weight. Deku is close to or around, I want to say 800 pounds, but he doesn't have all the organs, so he's not a full grown Space Marine, or a full blown Space Marine. So let's say that he's. Well, weight doesn't matter. Anyways, what happens is these two are basically going back and forth. Deku being able to let out a sonic scream and then throw Muscular to the ground, as he actually does begin to stomp into his chest, before Muscular does create more muscle fibers and tries to overpower Deku, breaking hands and breaking his nose, basically tossing Deku around like he's a ragdoll, before finally acknowledging Koda. Deku doing one thing, checking to see his pockets. His phone is intact, so he would pull it out and begin to make a call. He calls Kirishima and another person, making sure that the phone call is linked up. As soon as they both answer the phone, Deku would just say that they're on a cliffside and they need backup. There is a villain here that is, well, annoying the hell out of me. Muscular turning around to see Deku. Deku just saying that not just that, this guy hits like a bitch, before hanging up, pissing off Muscular. As he charges forwards and makes his arm bigger. Deku throwing a punch out with his right arm, Muscular countering. As Deku's right arm basically gets broken and shattered, as Muscular just keeps punching through. Actually being able to pin Deku to the ground and just keep smashing into him, along with trying to break his ribs, finding it a bit odd. Whenever he punches into Deku, his body feels more solid. Not sure if that's muscle or part of a mutation, so he at least doesn't care. Before one thing happens, Kirishima comes in, with 100% of her unbreakable mode and smashes Muscular across the face with her left arm. Now, this would have at least knocked Muscular away from Midoriya. Deku basically regenerating after a minute and then getting back up. To see her actually holding her left arm. It is a bit injured, or at least scratched up. So, there is still strain on her body. Well, as to be expected. Now, with that, Muscular would begin to, well, make his way through everyone. He gets bigger and bigger in muscle as he just runs forwards, immediately going for Kirishima. Deku pushing her out of the way as he takes the hit, getting sent flying in the process, and getting pinned into a tree. Now, with that, Kirishima would throw 100% with her right arm, her going at full cowling 100% for about 2 to 3 minutes before realizing that Muscular isn't giving up. Getting into that same position with Koda, where she has to defend him. And it is not really working. Basically begging for something to help. And begging that she couldn't spend more time with her parents. They may have abandoned her, yes, but still. They are family. You don't just abandon family the way they did. Even then, they still try to make a genuine connection. Her feeling one for all boost. Hearing the previous successors. Telling her to not give up. And to go further beyond. As she can feel her arm actually moving. Bursting straight through Muscular's, well, power. Muscular being confused. As she turns on full cowling to 1,000,000%. And she rushes forwards, smashing into Muscular's face with her right arm, completely sending him flying into the mountain. As she just broke her right arm. And, well, that's not good. But it will at least be fine. She's not sure how many times she can break it, but if she keeps going like this, then, well, She's gonna need to talk to one of the Space Marines or the sisters about that. They should be able to help her. Now, with that being said, she would go to find Deku after picking up Koda, finding him trying to get out of a tree. He basically got impaled by a couple branches and is trying to get out. But, well, yeah, that's not really working. Until more and more people come through. You see Mr. Compress running away from a target, him basically screaming his ass off as bullets keep flying through the trees. This is Momo, along with Ibarra. Ibarra trying to wrap into Mr. Compress and take him down. These two basically watching as Ibarra finally gets a grab at Mr. Compress, and Momo just keeps firing at him. These are rubber bullets, along with the fact that she would actually make a taser and walk up to him, smashing him across the face and tasing him. As Momo would watch Ibarra just wrap around his legs once again and smash him into the wall, then smash him into a tree. These two just watching this happen, until Ibarra and Momo actually do take notice of them there, asking exactly what happened. Momo walking over to Mr. Compress and tasing him once again, before reaching into his jacket and pulling out multiple marbles, saying that he was going after people from their class, so this should at least be fine. Her basically throwing the marbles against the ground and opening them. You have multiple people. I want to say Monoma because, well, a copy quirk. That's actually a bit useful. Now, you have Monoma, Tokuyami, Todoroki, and I want to say one more person, but I can't really think of them. Let's say Mineta, because his quirk does look a little bit better now. So, they are going after him. Now, Deku would be confused, until he does actually begin to look around the forest a bit more. There should be a fire quirk user, along with, well, them being told to come back. Them all rushing in, Deku basically carrying Kirishima. Her not really being very conscious or there at the moment. She broke that support item that she had. That's bad. Along with that, she's actually hurt very badly, with her arm and, well, most of her torso. Deku actually needing to wrap her up in his jacket to help, well, with the wound. Now, with that being said, they would come back, and Deku would immediately launch into action, taking a gun from Momo and immediately just beginning to fire into the villains. He would have been able to tag the lizard guy with a rubber dart, along with nearly getting Big Sis Mags, and Toga coming running out of the forest. She tried to take blood from someone, but that did not work. She got it from Asui. And Ochako, she's better with a knife, let's just say that. Her basically chasing Toga out of the forest, telling her to come back. Basically holding up multiple knives. Now, with that being said, this is where the villains do try and retreat, trying to find out where Mr. Compress is and Muscular. Before, Big Sis just says that they are a lost cause, and that if they need them, then what is his name? Kirigiri can open a portal. As she uses her quirk and pulls everyone back in. Now, with that being said, that is how things go. No one gets captured and no one gets injured, except for Kirishima, and the one member of the Pussycats, along with some of the kids in, well, Class 1A, who are still in the forest. With that being said, I do want to say that Bakugo was battling Moonfish in the forest after encountering Duplo Arms Guy, and, well, He took Moonfish down, and then Mr. Compress took Tokoyami. And then you have Dobby and then the Nomu. The Nomu would have been a bit easier. Since Momo and Ibara would have made their way around, she would have been able to tag a Nomu with a tracker and try and help out against the mustard gas guy. Since the guy wants to mess around with a gun, she would have used a bigger one, at least showing that she's not fucking around. Anyways, with that being said, there is actually someone paying attention to these events. And, well, he's a bit more curious about this now. He thought himself to be, well, a challenge himself, but then there's this one. Who exactly is he? Clearly, he's someone different. Even then, he's not the successor. So, him and his team will have a fun hunt on this time. Actually, they will need to get things a bit more sorted out. So, now, well, that's being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next parts.